All right, people. It is 8 o'clock on the dot. So we are going to get started. Let me start off by welcoming you to the Kings Roundtable, where we are going to get into the things. Now, we talk about everything from politics to pop culture. And at the end, I got to feed your soul with a little inspiration. So buckle down and get ready because we are about to get into it. First off, we're going to start with a political recap of the tumultuous year that was 2022. We got to start off with what happened at the beginning of the year with the January 6th Capitol invasion. Now, that was a very scary thing to happen, to know that democracy was at hand during this event. And as you may or may not know, they are still to this day having the January 6th hearings. Multiple people have been found guilty. President Trump is currently on the line for inciting the riot, which most people on MSNBC and other news commentators do feel that he is solely responsible for what happened, especially with a lot of the current things that he's been saying. But that is for a little bit later, because as you know, Donnie never stops. Then we move down to a very momentous occasion we had in this country: the swearing in of the first African American female justice, Justice Ketanji Brown. This was something so special to see two black women in some of the most powerful positions in the world. It was a moment in time to truly be alive and to really celebrate and bask in the essence that is black women. It was an amazing time, amazing time. One of the few ups we had that year, this last year. It was really one of the really, really big things we really did have that we see come to fruition in 2022. And then we have the very, 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 very sad occasion of when the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This not only jeopardized the health and the decision of women having access to abortions and the option to choose what to do with their own bodies, but it also trickled down to a lot of other different aspects relating to women's health and protecting women. Um, a lot of people feel that since we do now have a conservative majority within the Supreme Court, that a lot of major cases like this will be overturned. And a lot of people are saying Roe v. Wade is just the beginning, but we have hope and we have faith that that is not the case, and that Roe v. Wade will, again be reinstated. But currently, it is still overturned, and as a result of that, many states have come out with a lot of quote unquote pro life legislation. It is illegal in a lot of places now in the country, including my home state of Oklahoma. But surprisingly, in Kansas, which is, primarily Republican, it is legal there. So we're seeing things like that. Of course, places like California are still protecting, the women's right to choose what to do with their bodies, and different things like that. But the major thing with that is really seeing all of this quote unquote pro life legislation and hearing what a lot, and when I say a lot of these legislators are saying, a lot of them are even for it being illegal for you to even have the morning after pill, making it illegal for quote unquote abortion from the moment of conception. Some even saying to illegalize condoms. Huh? Huh? Yeah, it's that bad. It's that bad. Um, but we're really starting to see a lot of the left's agenda. I mean the far right's agenda, and the far left is becoming really really strong as you see a lot of Gen Z and millennials going towards the far right left after seeing what the far right is doing. Um, and it's just a never ending story with things like that happening within the Supreme Court these days. Um, this year, well, last year, we had record numbers of migrants at the southern border, and there a lot of them were Haitian, and a lot of different islanders like that. The reason why a lot of them did come up missing. Apparently, you hear that a lot with a lot of the Haitian influencers. When a lot of this was at its height around September, pretty much August through October, to be quite honest, when this was really at its height, and you seen that a lot of these things were happening, and they were talking about them, and a lot of people, especially Haitian people, came up missing. Hispanics as well, the Latinx. Um, it's always a war with them. My personal opinion is I don't understand why we are trying to border a lot of that when a lot of the drug paraphernalia that comes through they claim comes through the border, actually comes from overseas and things like that. So we leave it at that. I'm not denying or saying that there isn't a large proportion of illegal drugs that do come through the border, because of course people grow them here in the states, especially in Oklahoma. We're one of the biggest meth capitals in the world. So it's that alone is a very hard topic, because that is why a lot of people in the far right, i.e., conservatives, feel that there should be heavier border control, and we should let less and less migrants in each year. Um, but definitely, there were record numbers of that at the southern border, and of course, how can I forget about the inflation we are going through? And a lot of people don't see how this is a political issue. Um, Politicians make the bills and the create funding and revenues for a lot of this stuff to be easily accessible. Um, but as we can see with COVID and things like that, there were circumstances, as we get back to quote unquote normalcy. But this was expected, especially after people receiving the quote unquote stimulus packages. This was expected amongst a lot of financial analysts, that something like this would happen, because, of course, if when there's more money going through, prices go up. And we see the prices of gas starting to get back lower. I recently was in California not too long ago, And this summer when I was there, it was about almost $6 a gallon in some places. Yes, $6 a gallon for gas. When I recently was there, I seen about $4 or so. So it's going down some, and here in Oklahoma, it's starting to get back to somewhat normal prices for gas. But we're still seeing that. The price of a carton of eggs now is like $6, $7, when just not too long ago they just were, maybe $2, $3 at most. But now you're looking at $6 or more for a carton of eggs. So simple things like that is what they really base the quote unquote standard of living, where they derive minimum wage from. So a lot of people are saying that we are needing an increase in the minimum wage, especially with how inflation is going now, and there's no way for simple household items like that of going back down. There's a lot of people are saying that they're not going to go back down; they're going to stay where they are. So the minimum wage needs to be increased. I believe in Oklahoma, it's seven. It may be 7.45 or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but it's quite low for it to be that. But when I was in California, it was about 14 something. Because McDonald's workers were making on average $15 an hour there. So I can honestly say that I do see a need for 725. Yeah, 725 in Oklahoma. So it's pretty bad. It's pretty it's pretty bad. Um, and we need that to really be doubled in all actuality, for if we expect Oklahomans to start making a livable wage and not having to hold two or three, four jobs just to live in a very low standard of living, just to maintain that. So definitely, inflation was something that's really big right now, and even um, as Congress readjourns, they've been back in session for maybe a week or so now, um, and that's definitely something that's they're going through, bringing up. And then, of course, Russia invading Ukraine. Um, uh, That itself was a very big topic. It is still ongoing. Russia is still invading parts of Ukraine, and they're still fighting. But I believe they did a ceasefire a couple days ago for Russian Orthodox Christmas, I believe it was, and they did a ceasefire for that. So that's still an ongoing war that's going on. A lot of different countries are getting involved to aid Ukraine in that, and a lot of countries are, quite frankly, angry with Russia for doing what they're doing. But all in all, um, as of now, the U.S. has little to none to do with it, but that might change um, if things continue to go south. Um, then of course, Donnie. We cannot talk about 2022 without talking about old Donnie. Okay, Mr. Donald Trump announced that he's running again for president. But as I mentioned earlier with the January 6th hearings, if he is found guilty by the department, the DOJ, the Department of Justice, if he is found guilty for inciting said riot, he will not be eligible to run for president because it is illegal to do so if he is found guilty of inciting the riot. The committee recently sent it over to them late January, so we should be hearing something quite soon about their decision to see if Donald Trump will be the Republican. I know for a fact if he is going forth in that manner and he's not found guilty, he is going to be the Republican nominee for president for 2025. If I'm correct, I could be wrong, but he's going to be the Republican nominee for the next presidential election. If he is not found guilty. If not, I am curious to see what the Republican Party spews out. Um, I heard talk of the Florida governor, the governor of Florida. He's wanting to run. So if he does, I would be quite DeSantis. If DeSantis runs against Trump, I would be quite interested to see the outcome, since so many, especially legislators, which is why recently they've had a stall in the House, because now we have a majority Republican House. Um, they stalled on electing the new House Speaker because they did not feel that he really aligned himself with the far left, which the majority of the newer people are of the far left and are very proud Antifa and Trump supporters. Some even supporting QAnon. So so we'll see how that plays out with this whole presidential race with the Republican Party. That's going to be very interesting to see, mainly because we've already seen in the past week they are not as together as the Democrats are. Democrats only had to vote once, and they all support their minority speaker. So we shall see how this plays out. Um, he also, towards the end of the year, claimed he had a big announcement. Most people thought it was going to be something else. A lot of the theories about what they thought it was were very different. So I wouldn't even bring them up because there was really no congealed synopsis of what people think or thought may have happened. But in all, it was him with NFTs, which was he when he did that, he became the laughing stock of a lot of MSNBC shows, and I personally watched the readout with Joy Reid, and she had a hearty laugh with several other people on the call or on the show at the time. So it was very silly. He made it seem as if it was something important, but it was not. Um, so that is what we're dealing with when it comes to him. As I said before, we're still dealing with the January 6th hearing. So we're still listening from people, and people are still being convicted for being affiliated with that and all that had happened at the riot at the Capitol. And then we cannot end off the year um, without talking about Nancy Pelosi. And what inevitably happened to her husband. It was very sad, very sad. He was kidnapped and beaten. He has been making appearances within the last couple of months, but we cannot forget that. And just seeing the limits that a lot of Trump supporters are doing to ensure that he stays in power. A lot of them believes he wasn't even the election in which the American people voted to have him removed and have Joe Biden elected as president. Um, they believe it was, it really wasn't valid. So in their minds, a lot of them, they believe Trump is still president. And also on the topic of Trump, towards was that the last 2 weeks or so of the year, the committee decided also to release Trump taxes. Now, these taxes won't tell us his quote unquote status, but it'll be able to tell us if he's being honest about a lot of the things that he's saying that he has done. Is he really charitable? Is he giving to the people that he claims he's doing. Um, what is he doing? And a lot of people are looking at these taxes as more of trying to see, well, is he as rich as he claims he is? No, we won't be able to see that, but they are currently out. I don't know exactly where to find them, but I know for a fact that they are out because I seen um, via somebody I was with showed me them. I personally didn't pull them up, so I wouldn't be able to tell you where they are, but I know they're out there. Um, but yeah. So once just to reinstate that if Trump is found guilty for inciting the January 6th, because they're still doing the January 6th hearing and all of that, he will not be able to run for president. Um, 2022 politically, it was tough. We had a couple of highs and a lot of lows, but we made it through. A lot of people are looking towards the next presidential election to get some hope in 2024. They're really looking to see what what are they going to offer? What are these new candidates going to offer them? What are some things in which they're going to say that is really going to rally the troops? Um, Personally, I would like to see Cory Booker run again. And I would like to see even Stacey Abrams run for president. We've seen what Stacey Abrams did in Georgia. We seen what she did in Georgia with Raphael Warnock. And I cannot remember the other gentleman's name, but Raphael Warnock recently won again. So I can just imagine the work she would do at a national level if given the platform. Um, and given the opportunity and the tools to really be successful, I honestly think Stacey Abrams could really bring this country into an era of complete change and innovation and take us where we need to go. I honestly feel Stacey Abrams will do that. And I feel the complete same about Cory Booker. He has the mental capacity and the intellectualism to really bring us into the age of innovation that we need. He's willing to listen to the young people. He's willing to work with Republican lawmakers and try to come to a happy medium, which is really, really, really what we need is someone who isn't going to move on their stance, but is willing to work with Republicans to try to come to a happy medium. And the same thing, if there's a good Republican candidate, we would really like to see that Republican candidate try to work with Democrats to come with a happy medium. Either way, we want to see someone who is willing to negotiate in this next presidential election. And I wholeheartedly think that those two, Cory Booker and um, Cory Booker and I said her name and I forgot it that fast. But I do believe that Stacey Abrams, they are able to do that. Okay, that ends our political segment. So now let's get into the juicy stuff, y'all. The juicy stuff. Now, a lot of you are familiar with the Bill safety, Damar Hamlin. He collapsed about a week ago and suffered from some heart issues. Um, a lot of people were really worried about him, but he recently he moved out of the hospital in Cincinnati to Buffalo, um, and he tweeted and really asked for people to continue to pray for him. Um, and you know, with people like him, with him just collapsing, and in this day and age, we have a lot of people who are very influential, who are just passing away. And just to know that he's safe and you know he's going to be okay. We really just want to continue to lift him in prayer. He asked us to continue to lift up him in prayer. Um, So guys, just continue to keep him lifted up, and that he has a speedy and safe recovery, so we can see that man back on the field, making us and himself proud, as he continue to live out his dreams as a pro ball player. Okay, now the next one, it get a little messy, a little messy. Now, as some of us know, CNN anchor Don Lemon, he doesn't understand why Prince Harry discussed alleged fight between him and Prince Williams in his memoir Spare. Now, Don Lemon pretty much slammed him, with why would he say that? I have issues with my family, but I would never, put it out there for personal gain. Basically, trying to say, why is he putting out the royal family's business out there? In all honesty, Prince Harry deserves some therapy, okay? And if he feels therapeutic about him writing it in the book and letting people know that the royal family is no different than any other family, I can't say that I could feel the same way that Don Lemon does. Um, I think that there's no problem with him doing that. In all actuality, I think it would bring some more transparency to how people view the royal family. People have this godlike complex about them. And I honestly feel that if there was some change to it and people were able to really see that the royal family has problems and these brothers fight like all brothers fight, it would help, them become more, maybe it would even help them come back together. Because word on the street, wink, wink, you ain't hear from me, that they not even speaking. Um, and I know this is gonna throw more salt on the wound. So we're just going to see what happens. Don Lemon is not backing down from what he said. He feels how he feels. The man is entitled to feel how he feels. But he pretty much slammed him for doing that and putting quote unquote the royal family business out there. Um, Now this next one is about a popular rapper. As we all have heard by now, because all of us have social media, rapper French Montana recently had a video shoot in Miami, and it got shot up, for a lack of a better term. It got shot up. Okay, and at least 10 people injured. It happened in Miami, I believe at a restaurant, and 10 people were injured. Thankfully, I don't believe anyone has died, but they are injured. So we're just, keeping those people in our prayers, because things like this happens, um, especially in the rap community. But that does not dismiss the magnitude of someone being hurt. It does not dismiss the magnitude of a life potentially being lost, and potentially the devastating after effects that these people are going to have to deal with, whether if it's a limb being lost or lack of mobility or anything like that. We really just want to pray for their recovery and that nobody is really harmed, um, from it. It was traumatic, and I'm pretty sure that French Montana is feeling pretty bad about it because it was his video shoot, um, and that these people got hurt on his dime. So we really want to keep him in prayers and keep everyone, involved in prayers, and hope that nobody, gets seriously harmed or maimed, and suffer really any lifelong consequences, for someone's stupid decision to shoot up a video shoot. Now, I can't say that I don't know what the reason for it was. If it was payback of some sort or some type of feud, or even if it was gang affiliated, or if they thought it, if the people feel, jealousy or anything like that. But still, it does not dismiss the magnitude that people were hurt, and people are potentially going to suffer lifelong consequences from that. So, as we come to an end, now we've covered everything from politics to pop culture, and I promised you at the very end, I would feed your soul. Okay? One of my favorite movies is Selma. Um, and in Selma, there was a scene with one of my personal favorite um, civil rights activist Amelia Boynton Robinson and the legend Mrs. Coretta Scott King, as they were going to see, I believe, Malcolm X. And I just want to leave this with you guys today. It says, "I know that we are descendants. I know that we are descendants of a mighty people who gave civilization to the world. People who survived the hulls of slave ships across vast oceans. People who innovate and create and love despite pressures and tortures unimaginable. They are in our bloodstream, pumping our hearts every second. They've prepared you. You are already prepared. So as you go through the week, I want you to know that you've already prepared. That you come from a bloodline of men and women who did unimaginable things and went through unimaginable things and tortures and survived conditions that our minds could not fathom. And that you are much stronger than anything that comes against you. Remember, I love you, God loves you. And until next week, be easy and don't be sleazy.